Olive is an ostrich. She lives with her family in the outback. But Olive is very different. Olive's dad loves to run. Olive isn't a fast runner. Olive's mum enjoys laying huge eggs. Olive doesn't like the look of that at all. Olive's little brother pecks at the ground to find tasty roots to eat. Pecking at the ground makes Olive sneeze. But Olive has an incredible imagination. So while the rest of her family are running, pecking and laying eggs, Olive can be found imagining herself going on amazing adventures when she buries her head down, down into the sand. Until she popped up somewhere new. It was a place covered in soft yellow sand, and it was next to a glistening blue sea.
It's a lovely sandy beach.
Olive looked down and saw she was wearing flippers. She tried to walk but fell flat on her beak.
Don't worry, little ostrich.
Boomed a loud voice.
I'll save you.
A strong-looking horse helped Olive up. He had the shiniest mane of hair and the brightest smile she had ever seen. He wore a red jacket and spoke into a megaphone.
Hi, I'm David Hoppyhoof, beach lifeguard.
Hey, your loud voice is making me ears ring.
You'll get used to it. I'm always here, so if anybody gets into any trouble on this beach, I will rescue them.
Oh, you're a real hero.
Just doing my job.
Boomed David as he proudly combed his shiny hair. Just then, Olive heard a cry coming from the sea. 2 tigers were in trouble. Their claws had punctured their rubber dinghy.
Help! We're sinking.
David, those tigers need your help.
But David had disappeared. Olive couldn't see him anywhere. Then she noticed a very funny-looking sandcastle. Olive shook her head.
Why are you pretending to be a sandcastle, David? Those tigers need you to rescue them.
I can't.
But that's your job. You're the beach lifeguard.
I was only pretending. I've always wanted to be a lifeguard, so I borrowed this outfit. The truth is, I never rescued anyone.
David started to cry.
You see, I hate the water. It makes my hair go all frizzy.
Help! We're still sinking.
Olive spotted David's huge comb and a surfboard lying nearby.
Oh, cool. A surfboard? I think I may have an idea.
David and Olive grabbed the surfboard and using David's comb as a paddle, they paddled out and rescued the tigers.
Hooray! You're our heroes.
They paddled back to the beach. David didn't get a drop of water on his shiny hair until...
There you go, my tiger friends. Back safely on dry land.
As David lifted the tigers onto the beach, he started to wobble.
Oh.
And then he toppled backwards into the sea.
Oh, your hair looks different.
Exclaimed Olive.
I love it. It's so big and it's so bouncy. It's really beach chic.
Excuse me,
Came a stern voice. It belonged to an even bigger horse, who really did look like a lifeguard.
my name is Big Jim, and I am the lifeguard of this beach. What are you doing with my megaphone?
I'm sorry. I only borrowed it so I could pretend to be a lifeguard like you.
Big Jim smiled.
I think you should keep it. After seeing you bravely rescue those tigers, I think you would make a great assistant lifeguard.
Why, thank you.
Beamed David. He was thrilled. He couldn't believe his dream had finally come true.
And now you've got the perfect beach haircut as well.
Said Olive. They all laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Heck, actually, I've been helping Hoppyhoof the lifeguard.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a little village. The buildings were made entirely out of logs, and they nestled between tall, green trees and snow-topped mountains. She was wearing a lovely woolly scarf.
Cake, what a beautiful place.
Just then, Olive heard a strange gurgling sound coming from behind one of the log cabins. So she went to investigate. She found a little girl sobbing into her hanky in a most peculiar way. Olive had never heard anything like it.
My name's Olive. Are you okay?
Oh, I didn't see you there. My name's Heidi High. My family own the holiday camp here, and today we're holding our famous Swiss family yodeling concert to mark the first day of the ski season.
Oh, Cake! How exciting!
Oh, you little don't understand. There isn't any snow. Tradition says if we don't have any snow on the first day of the ski season, we won't have any snow at all, and no skiers will come to visit.
In the distance, Olive could see the beautiful snow-capped mountains, but in the village there was only the tiniest dusting of snow on the rooftops. She was about to start thinking of a way to help when she heard an announcement boom out over the loudspeakers.
That's my mum. I'd better go and practice.
Olive followed Heidi back to her family to find out what yodeling was. Then the hills erupted with sound as Heidi's family all burst into a strange song. Olive stood and listened. It was then she noticed that the dusting of snow on the rooftops had begun to quiver and shake. As Heidi and her mother hit a high note, the snow rolled off the...
I think I may have an idea. Heidi, help me collect all the loudspeakers. We're going to create a super speaker.
Olive placed them in a long line, pointing towards the snowiest peak.
Now all you need to do is yodel into here, and I'm sure your voices will shake the snow down from the mountains in no time.
Yoodle-oodle, do you really think that'll work?
Asked Heidi.
There's only one way to find out.
And with that, they burst into song. In the distance, the snow on the mountain tops began to quiver. It looked like it was dancing as it gently started to roll down the slopes towards the village. But even though they yodeled with all their might, the snow stopped short.
Yoodle-oodle have to join in, Olive. We're just not loud enough.
Said Olive as she cleared her throat and prepared to sing. They yodeled and yodeled, and the gathering crowds watched with delight as the snow tripped and danced its way gently into the village, covering the entire place with a thick blanket of snow.
Oh, Olive, there's enough snow here to ski and sledge and build snowmen until springtime. Thank you.
Cake, it was no problem.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Cake, actually, I've been yodeling in the Swiss Alps.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive found herself on a huge lily pad in the middle of a pond. She was wearing a pointy hat and sparkly shoes. Nearby, some frogs were having a party.
Cake, is this a birthday party?
Oh, no, it's no one's birthday. Us frogs just love to dance and party. You can join us if you like.
As Olive danced and ate her sandwich, she noticed a little frog sitting all on his own.
Hello, I'm Olive. What's your name?
Ribbit Patterson.
Why aren't you dancing? There's honey sandwiches too. And look, now everyone's catching flies.
I'm useless at catching flies. The other big frogs always laugh at me when I try.
Said Ribbit sadly.
Well, I won't laugh at you.
I couldn't even catch that fly over there, and it's really close.
Ribbit whipped out his tongue, only it was too short and he couldn't reach the fly.
Hey, Ribbit, you can learn, sunshine.
Called one of the bigger frogs. Olive and Ribbit ducked as the frog's massive tongue flew over their heads, caught the fly, then pulled it back into his mouth.
You see, I'll never catch flies like they can.
Olive looked over at the party. She spied some party blowers next to a big pot of honey on the table.
party blowers, some honey. I think I may have an idea.
Olive dunked the party blower into the pot of sticky honey, then popped it into her beak like a rolled-up tongue.
Look, Olive.
Ribbit pointed to a fly sitting on a strange-looking plant. With all her might, Olive blew the sticky party blower. Only she missed, and it stuck to the strange plant instead.
Let me try,
Exclaimed Ribbit. But Olive had used too much honey, and the party blower was now stuck fast to her beak, as well as the plant.
It's stuck, it won't come off.
Suddenly, the plant began to rise out of the water.
Olive, why is the plant moving?
It wasn't a plant at all, but a very angry-looking crocodile. It swam off down the pond, dragging Olive with it.
Crocodile, it'll eat us all up.
Panicked Ribbit. Ribbit knew he had to do something, so he grabbed a spatula from one of the cakes and a party blower that he dipped in honey and waited for the crocodile to swim past him. Just as the crocodile got close, Ribbit blew the party blower as hard as he could and hit the crocodile. Ribbit was yanked off the lily pad and landed right on the crocodile's back.
Whoa, I've never surfed on a crocodile before.
Ribbit used the spatula to unstick Olive's party blower.
Oh, I'm free.
Jump, Olive.
They both leapt to safety, just as the crocodile snapped up behind them.
Oh, Ribbit, you were magnificent.
Magnificent? He's the bravest frog of the whole pond.
The big frogs lifted Ribbit onto their shoulders and declared him and Olive the party guests of honour.
Good catch, Ribbit. My turn. A little less honey.
But Olive missed and caught a cupcake instead.
I never did fancy flies much. Cupcakes are far more tasty.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Cupcake? Actually, I helped a frog to catch a crocodile.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a long, thin room with lots of windows and seats down either side. She was wearing a rather smart blue dress and hat. There was a lady dressed the same as Olive standing between the rows of seats.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Hello, I'm Daisy. You must be the new flight attendant.
Flight 321 to Paradise Island. Passengers should board in 3, 2, 1.
A tannoy announced. Olive had to jump out of the way as a stampede of passengers rushed to their seats.
Hey, watch out!
The plane took off straight away.
Being a flight attendant is easy.
Said Daisy.
All you have to do is make sure the passengers are happy and they get their dinner on time.
Oh, that does sound pretty easy.
Said Olive. Daisy unbuckled her belt and reached under the seat, pulling out a box of eye masks, which she dumped in Olive's wings.
Right, first task is to pass around these eye masks.
Olive gave an eye mask to each passenger.
Good job, Olive.
Said Daisy. It was almost time for dinner. The smell of the food was wafting out of the kitchen, making the passengers hungry.
Is dinner ready? I'm hungry.
Called a man.
My tummy's rumbling really badly.
Whined a little girl.
What happens if the passengers don't get the dinner?
Asked Olive. Daisy frowned.
They get unhappy, and we don't want unhappy passengers. Right, Olive. Dinner trolleys are ready to go. We just have to push them down the aisle so we can give the passengers their dinner trays.
Olive jumped behind the trolley and pushed hard. The trolley jerked forward for a moment, but then it stopped.
It looks like I'm stuck.
Cried Olive.
We're getting very unhappy. Yes, very unhappy.
Olive scratched her beak and looked around. At her feet was one of the eye masks. She picked it up and looked down the aisle, where she spotted coat hooks above every single seat. Olive tied together lots and lots of eye masks. She then looped them over the coat hooks and got the passengers to do the same all the way down the plane.
Right, Daisy. We need to tie the dinner trays to the eye masks.
Olive tugged on the eye masks and the dinner trays started travelling along the plane down to the passengers. Then the trays dropped in front of each passenger one by one. The whole plane load of people cheered before they tucked into their dinners.
Good job, Olive.
Said Daisy.
The passengers would have been lost without you.
I don't know about lost, but they certainly would have been hungry.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Buckek, actually, I've been an air hostess in an aeroplane.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive found herself floating in the sea on a bright pink lilo. She was wearing a life jacket and some cool sunglasses.
Well, this is very relaxing.
Said Olive. The sun was shining and there were 2 dolphins leaping in and out of the sea nearby.
Wahoo!
Olive looked around and saw a surfer riding a big wave and he was heading straight towards her.
Buckek!
Watch out, dude, coming through.
The surfer shouted, but it was too late. He collided with Olive and they went flying into the air.
Whoa, wipe out.
Olive and the surfer both washed up on the beach where a big crowd was watching.
Oh dear, I'm sorry I got in your way. I'm Olive.
Hey, no worries, dude. I'm Sunny Ray.
Said the surfer as he shook seaweed out of his hair.
Oh no, my lucky surfboard has disappeared. This is a big Tube Master surfing competition. I'll never win it without my lucky board. Olive, could you maybe help me find it, please?
Well, I can try. Where do you think it could be?
Dude, it's probably caught on something underwater, but it'll be impossible to find. The ocean is so huge.
Olive looked out to the ocean and spied the dolphins leaping in and out of the water.
A lost lucky surfboard, some dolphins. I think I may have an idea. Sunny, follow me.
Olive and Sunny swam out to the dolphins.
Hello, I'm Olive, and this is my friend Sunny.
What's up, dolphin dudes? Hey there, how's it hanging?
We're looking for Sunny's surfboard. We think it's caught underwater somewhere. Could you maybe help us find it, please?
We'd be happy to help you guys.
Awesome, dude, thanks. Just hold on to our fins and take a deep breath.
Olive and Sunny each held on to one of the dolphins.
Let's go!
The 2 dolphins swam down to the seabed with Olive and Sunny clinging to their fins. They spotted Sunny's surfboard, but a giant clam had his big mouth clamped around it.
Hey, Mr. Giant Clam, can we...
Stubborn giant clam and tried to wrestle the board out of his big mouth, but the clam would not let go. They all swam back to the surface.
It's no good. That big old clam isn't going to give me my board back.
There must be something else you can surf on.
I've got a great idea. Why don't you surf on our backs? Dude, I love it.
Yes, that sounds good. Awesome.
So Olive and Sunny hopped onto the dolphins' backs.
All set?
Yep.
Just then, a big wave curled its way towards them. The dolphins rode the wave with Sunny and Olive balancing on their backs, just as if they were on surfboards.
Extreme!
The crowd went wild. Olive and Sunny did some cool surfing moves. They looked amazing.
The gold medal winner is Sunny Ray.
And Olive won the silver.
You won the Tube Masters without your lucky board.
Dude, I wouldn't have been able to do it without you or the dolphin dudes.
Then something floated in on a wave. It was Sunny's surfboard.
My board, most excellent.
I guess that giant clam didn't need it anymore.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Buckek, actually, I entered an awesome surfing competition.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing by a swimming pool, surrounded by lots of cheering people. She was wearing a bright yellow swimming costume and goggles.
Are all these people here to see me?
Suddenly, a voice boomed out from some loudspeakers.
Up next in the high diving competition is Braveheart Beaver, the undefeated 5-time gold medal winner.
Olive realised she was in the queue for a high diving board behind Braveheart Beaver and an elephant.
A high diving competition, and I must be one of the contestants!
Exclaimed Olive. Olive was wondering why the elephant in front of her was shaking.
I'm Olive. Why are you shaking?
Hello, I'm nervous Nellie.
Said the elephant.
I'm shaking because I'm a bit nervous about jumping off that high diving board. I have this terrible fear of heights.
Olive looked up at the diving board.
Oh, I see. It is rather high.
Braveheart Beaver scores 26,
Said the announcer.
Up next, Nervous Nellie.
I can't do it.
Said Nellie sadly.
I can't do it. I'm off home.
She slowly walked towards the door, hanging her head and trunk in shame. Olive tried to think of an idea to help Nellie. It was then that she spotted a man with a beard selling peanuts.
Peanuts! Get your fresh salty peanuts here!
Shouted the man.
Elephants love peanuts. I think I may have an idea.
Olive quickly bought a pack of peanuts and began to drop a trail of peanuts along the floor, up the steps of the diving board, and then along the diving board itself. Nellie noticed the trail of peanuts.
Oh, I love peanuts.
She exclaimed. She followed the trail, eating the peanuts as she walked towards the ladder, then up the ladder, and along the end of the diving board where Olive was standing.
If you want the rest, you'll have to eat them before they get wet.
Olive threw the rest of the peanuts off the edge of the diving board. Nellie leapt off after the peanuts. She sucked up all the peanuts as they fell through the air, spectacularly twisting around all over the place before landing in the pool with an almighty splash.
And now we have one more contestant, Olive the ostrich.
Okay, now for my big finish.
Olive gathered all her courage and ran towards the edge of the board. But the board was still covered in peanuts. Olive slipped and lost her balance. She went flying off the board, doing a flip, a triple backward somersault, and a corkscrew spin.
Olive scores a perfect 30. She's the winner.
I can't believe it. I won the gold medal.
Exclaimed Olive.
And I can't believe I overcame my fear of heights.
Said Nellie.
Oh, thanks for all your help, Olive.
Oh, it was nothing.
As the crowd continued to clap and cheer, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I won a high diving competition.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big... She was sitting on a strange creature that looked a bit like a horse.
Okay. Good thing I've got this breathing helmet. What's going on?
Asked Olive.
You're about to take part in a seahorse race.
Said a little jellyfish who was also sitting on a seahorse. There was another bigger jellyfish on a seahorse too.
A seahorse race? How exciting! I'm Olive, by the way.
I'm Jessie. I'm a little nervous as this is my first ever race.
Don't worry, Jessie. Maybe we can help each other.
Okay. Thanks, Olive. Oh, that means the race has started. Come on, Olive.
The bigger jellyfish galloped off and Jessie and Olive rode after him. Narrow gap between two huge rocks. The big jellyfish rode straight through, but when Jessie reached the gap, she stopped.
Oh, it's too narrow. I can't get through.
Of course you can. Follow me.
They reached a coral maze.
Oh, this looks really twisty.
We can do it. Stay close to me, Jessie.
Olive twisted and turned through the coral maze, and Jessie rode through behind. Then Olive and Jessie reached the most difficult part of the race, an old, dark shipwreck.
We need to ride through, but I've heard there's a scary sea monster inside.
It's probably just a story, Jessie. We'll be fine if we ride through together.
I suppose so.
Olive rode into the shipwreck and Jessie followed. It was rather dark inside, and even Olive was a little scared.
What was that strange noise?
I'm sure it was nothing to worry about.
But suddenly, a creature with a long, sharp nose appeared out of the darkness.
Oh, the sea monster!
They raced out of the shipwreck as fast as they could, but Jessie did not look where she was going and rode straight into a forest of seaweed.
Oh, I've got tangled up, Olive.
Olive tried to pull Jessie free, but it was no good.
Tangled seaweed? A sea monster with a sharp, pointy nose? I think I may have an idea. Jessie, I'm going back into the shipwreck.
Olive, don't be silly.
But Olive rode bravely back into the dark shipwreck.
Excuse me, Mr. Sea Monster. Please, could you help me?
I'm not a sea monster. I'm just a swordfish. I can't help having this scary pointy nose. My name's Swordy, by the way.
Oh, I'm Olive. My friend has got tangled up in some seaweed. I was hoping you could free her with your sharp sword nose.
Of course. Swordy to the rescue.
Swordy used his sharp nose to carefully cut Jessie free from the seaweed.
Thanks, Swordy.
Yes, thank you. You're not so scary after all. Go. You've got to finish the race.
Jessie rode off fast with Olive close behind. Soon they could see the bigger jellyfish ahead as the finish line approached.
I did it, Olive. I won.
You certainly did, Jessie. The crowd love you. They're cheering themselves. Horse, see?
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I took part in an underwater seahorse race.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a shady forest. There were tall trees everywhere. In front of her was a little teddy bear. She was sitting on a picnic rug and looking glum.
Hello there. I'm Olive.
Oh, hello. I'm Gloria Honeybear. I'm having a picnic, but I'm afraid I can't offer you anything to eat.
Oh dear. That's a shame. You do seem to have plenty of food, Gloria.
Yes, I've got jam, I've got tea, I've got milk, I've got scones, butter, cream, I've got the rug, I've got cutlery, I've got cups, I've got sugar cubes, I've even got napkins, but I don't have any honey. And you can't have a picnic with no honey, not if you're a teddy bear anyway.
I see. Well, where do you usually get your honey from?
Well, I usually get my honey from the busy bees.
Said Gloria as she pointed towards a large beehive.
But today the bees have no honey.
Oh dear.
Said Olive as she walked over to the beehive.
Excuse me, busy bees. You're not looking very busy.
The bees looked exhausted.
Phew, we're just so tired.
Buzz the bees.
Every time we get back from the flowers with pollen to make our honey, we have to do this long dance to show the other bees where to go. We're just too tired afterwards to make the honey.
So what you need is a way to show the other bees how to get to the flowers without doing the directions dance.
Oh, yes, please.
Olive spotted the bowl of sugar cubes.
Some tired bees, a bowl of sugar cubes. I think I may have an idea. Gloria, do you know the way to the nearest flowers?
Yes, of course.
Olive picked up the bowl of sugar cubes. She and Gloria headed off to the flowers, and as they walked, Olive and Gloria made arrows on the ground out of sugar cubes and did a silly little bee dance. They quickly hurried back to the hive.
Okay, busy bees. Just follow the sugar arrows to find your way to the flowers without doing the directions dance. And when you get back with the pollen, you can make the honey and give some to Gloria for her picnic.
Hooray, thanks, Olive.
So the bees all buzzed off to the flowers using the sugary arrows to find their way. They collected loads and loads of pollen, flew back to the hive and got to work making honey. Gloria gave the bees her empty honey jar.
Would you busy bees mind filling this for me, please? No problem.
And they filled Gloria's jar full of sweet-tasting honey.
We hope it tastes good.
Now you can finally enjoy your lovely picnic.
Yes, I've got jam, I've got tea, I've got milk, I've got scones, I've got butter, I've got cream, I've got the raw cutlery, I've got cups, napkins, I've got a huge jar of yummy honey. But now I don't have any sugar cubes, and you can't have a picnic without sugar cubes to put in the tea.
You're in luck then. I have 2 cubes left, one for each of our cups of tea.
Olive threw the sugar cubes into their cups. She poured in the milk and tea, while Gloria spread butter and honey and cream and jam all over the scones. They had the tastiest picnic ever, and afterwards they did the silly bee dance once more. The bees were so happy they joined in too.
Oh, thank you, Olive. You've been the busiest bee of all.
Chuckled Gloria. They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been helping busy bees make honey.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. And Olive could see all sorts of things inside the van.
Oh, Burger, those look tasty.
Exclaimed Olive. Olive was wearing a white overall and a special paper hat. She could hear strange grunts coming from inside the van.
Hello? Are you all right?
Asked Olive, and she reached in through the window to help. Up popped a very cold lady.
Thanks.
Shivered the lady.
I'm Millie Vanilla.
I'm Olive. Pleased to meet you. Oh, you're cold. You need to warm up.
Oh, no. If I do that, my ice cream will melt, and I need it for a birthday party.
Ice cream?
Yes, it's a very tasty treat, and I don't want to boast, but my ice cream is the very best.
She reached into the freezer and scooped some ice cream into a cornet for Olive to taste.
I add a secret ingredient.
Whispered Millie, and she stuck a stick of chocolate on top. Olive licked the ice cream.
It's very tasty.
Like I said, the very best. Now I mustn't be late for the party. Would you like to help me?
Oh, yes, please.
Olive jumped into the van and they drove off. They were nearly there when Olive heard a bang. The van stopped with such a bump that all the chocolate sticks fell out of the window. Olive and Millie got out to see what was wrong. Millie was more worried about the big brown puddle on the ground.
What's worse, all my chocolate sticks have melted in the sun. What am I going to do?
At least we still have the ice cream.
But how can I get to the party with a hole in my tyre?
Olive looked through the ice cream van window and saw the cornets and cherries.
Cornets? Cherries? I think I may have an idea.
She bit the end off a cornet and stuck it in the hole in the tyre. Then she scooped up the melted chocolate and poured it in through the hole. When the tyre was full, Olive plugged the hole with a cherry.
Oh, good as new. Thanks, Olive.
And so, with the tyre fixed, they drove to the party. The children cheered as Olive and Millie handed out ice cream cornets, but the birthday boy looked puzzled.
Where's my chocolate stick?
He asked. Millie began to sniffle.
He only likes ice cream with a chocolate stick stuck in it.
Well, never mind.
Olive told the boy.
This is the very best ice cream.
Not without the chocolate stick, it isn't.
He noticed the mended tyre.
Hey, if I can't have a chocolate stick, can I have that cherry?
Oh, not that one.
Cried Olive. But before Olive could stop him, the boy pulled the cherry out of the tyre. Chocolate sprayed out of the hole, splashing everyone and everything.
Oh, no.
Said Olive. But then she heard the birthday boy laughing.
Hey, this chocolate tastes amazing. In fact, this is the very best chocolate in the world.
Surprised, Olive and Millie tasted their ice creams. Yum!
Yum!
I don't want to boast, but he's right.
Boasted Millie.
Which makes this the very best ice cream in the world.
Everyone laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I made the very best ice cream in the world.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.